What is up, everybody? Louis back here again. UFC Paris, the return. Got a decent fight card, not a great fight card. The main event, you got a fun heavyweight showdown with title implications. Number 2, Ciryl Gane taking on number 7, Sergey Spivak. Huge opportunity for Sergey Spivak. A good opportunity for Ciryl Gane to redeem himself, show that he can defend against grappling, and get back on track with a win there. Because who knows what Jon Jones is doing with the title, so very important fight for each guy. And then we got the most interesting fight on the card, a women's flyweight 125. You got Manon Fiorot, the number 1, I think, contender. Basically, she beat Kagan, who's number 1. Taking on newcomer to the division, Rose Namajunas, former 115 champion. So, a lot of question marks on this fight, but obviously, big potential for either person when they win this fight. Manon, if she finishes Rose Namajunas, I mean, she can call for a title shot after Grasso and Shevchenko fight again, and then they'll have to figure out what to do with Blanchfield. But yeah, 125 is just stacked right now. It used to be the worst division, now it's kind of the best, and there's so much talent, they don't know what to do with it. But I'm excited. Big stakes on this fight. And then you got Benoit Saint-Denis taking on Thiago Moises. Moises just outside the top 15. So both guys have a chance to probably get a ranked opponent next with a win like this. So that'd be good. And then you got Volkan Oezdemir, number 10 at 205, trying to get back on track. And then you got newcomer Bogdan Guskov looking to make a statement, an immediate impact into the division. 205 needs more contenders because they don't even have a champion right now. So, should be interesting. But yeah, let's get right into it. First fight of the night, 135 pounds, men's bantamweight. You got women's bantamweight, Zara Fairn dos Santos taking on Jacqueline Cavalcanti. Cavalcanti's making her debut. Zara took on Josiane Nunes her last fight. In the first round, she lands some leg kicks and some short hooks in the pocket, followed up with some uppercuts. Then she lands a couple knees to the head in the pocket. And then she gets pressed, and then she eats a couple overhands up against the fence. But then in the second round, she gets pressured towards the fence again. She eats some crosses, but then she throws back some looping hooks and lands a couple straights. But then she presses forward, lands some jabs and some straights at range. But then she gets clenched up against the fence. Can't really keep her distance. Then in the third round, she lands some straight combos. But then she gets pressed with an overhand flurry. But then she's able to land some straights at range. So, yeah. But just like a little slow, honestly. And she missed weight for this fight. Actually, this fight's at 140, so forgot about that. And then Jacqueline Cavalcanti took on Melissa Creedon. Her last fight, this was an LFA. In the first round, she lands some leg kicks at range. Then she feints, lands a couple 1-2s at range. Then she stalks her and drops her with some multiple straight rights. Drops her multiple times. But then she kind of slowed down for the rest of the fight, which is weird. But then in the second round, she stuffs the shot, lands a couple hooks in the clinch. She's able to stay at range, lands some teeps, but she's really hesitant to engage at this point. Then in the third round, her kick gets caught, and then she eats a head kick. But then she's able to land a counter cross off of her straight, and then she gets pressed, eats some leg kicks. Then she's able to land a counter left hook off of her. She's able to land a counter left hook off of her hook, and then she presses with some 1-2s, follows it up with a cross. So decent way to end it, but it seemed like she kind of took the second round off. So that's a little strange. Jacqueline Cavalcanti minus 310. Zara Santos plus 300. Zara just looked really bad to me, but I don't know if I want to bet minus 380 on a newcomer, so I'm going to roll the dice. Yeah, I don't know. No, I'm not going to roll the dice. I'm going to pick Jacqueline Cavalcanti. She's going to win, but I'm not betting this fight, and I would bet money on Zara Fairn dos Santos. But Jacqueline Cavalcanti by decision plus 150, if you want to do that. But yeah, I'll pick Jacqueline, but I wouldn't put money on her. Second fight of the night at 135 pounds men's bantamweight, Farid Basharat taking on Clayton Rodriguez. Farid trying to continue his rise up the rankings. He took on Damone Blackshear's last fight. In the first round, he moves in and out with some jabs and some leg kicks. He's able to stuff the single leg attempts, but then he gets pressed with the cross. But then he's able to get a snatch single, rip it off the fence, get right into side control. Really dominant round for him. Then in the second round, he gets taken out with a body lock trip, but he's able to pop right back up. Good sign. Damone can wrestle a little bit. And then he gets pressed with the jump knee and he gives up his back. He gets drugged down, but he gets his back to the mat to avoid a choke. And then he's able to get right back up. And then he lands a blast double right into side control. or full guard, lands some ground and pound, not a lot, maintains position, does enough to win the round. Then in the third round, he backs out of the straight shots, but he leans his head back, so he might want to watch that. He could get clipped. But then he reverses the clinch. He gets an outside trip takedown off the fence. He lands a 1-2 in the pocket, kind of circles out, sticks and moves. But then he gets clipped with the hook off of his jab, and he gets cut off moving on the fence. He gets clipped with a couple hooks, but he's able to stuff the takedown attempts, and then he's able to pancake him off a bad shot. But then he gets caught in a triangle at the end there. It was pretty deep, but there's 10 seconds left, so, you know. But Damon Blackshear's pretty good, you know. Look at his last fight against Batista. So he's not bad. Not a bad win. And then Clayton Rodriguez took on Shannon Ross his last fight. In the first round, he lands a front kick and then a step-in left hook to the body. Then another body kick, and then he lands a hook flurry and just gets a TKO. So nothing to see there. Before that, he took on CJ Vergara in the first round. He gets pressure with some hooks to the head and the body, but then he's able to land a counter hook to the body, and then he's able to get the body lock trip takedown off of that. Then he lands a counter overhand blitz. Then he lands some hooks, followed up with an overhand, and then he eats a lead left hook on his way back. But then in the second round, he shoots a desperate double, gets pancaked for his troubles. He eats some ground and pound in full guard, and then he gives up his back. But then he's able to Granby out of it and explode and reverse the position. So that was really nice to see. So it should be interesting on the ground. Then in the third round, he lands a counter overhand in the pocket. But then he gets pressed with an uppercut, and he gets pushed down with a knee. But then he's able to grab a leg, and he's able to take his back with a calf slicer, kind of like pull him on top of him, gets a calf slicer somehow. I don't know how it happened, but it did. The guy's funky. Gotta respect that. Clayton Rodriguez plus 310. Farid Basharat minus 395. I don't like the price. I think it's overrated, but I'm going to go with Farid Basharat. I think he has more potential, and I think he's a little better on the ground. I think his conditioning is better as well. I do think this fight will go 3 rounds. I would pick over 2.5 minus 200 because Farid is a pretty penny. But yeah, I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with Farid Basharat. I think he gets it done. This is one of those times you kind of just got to lay the chalk on a surging prospect. But I think Basharat gets it done. Second fight of the night, third fight of the night, 135 pounds, women's bantamweight. Nora Cornolle taking on Jocelyn Edwards. Let's see if Jocelyn can make weight. Nora Cornolle took on Hasna Gaber her last fight in UAE promotions. In the first round, she eats overhand at range, but then she's able to land a head kick. But then she's able to push her down. But then she eats overhand off of her jab. But then she's able to land a front kick, and they end the fight TKO. Doctor stoppage. I don't know what, she barely even hit her, so I don't know what happened. But she wasn't looking that good, honestly. And then before that, she took on Sana Mandar in the first round. She gets an underhook clinch, but then she gets wizard kicked and headlocked. But then she's able to take her back and then get both hooks in and get some ground and pound in there and get the TKO. So, yeah, I don't know. It is a weird kind of scramble situation, but she was able to take her back, so she's got skills on the ground. And then Jocelyn Edwards, she took on Lucy Pudilova her last fight. In the first round, she gets blast doubled. Whenever she steps in, she's overextended, throwing an overhand. But then she's able to stand up out of the mount whenever she goes for the mount attempt. So she had pretty good timing. And then she's able to land a couple hooks at the end of the round. Then the second round, she lands some body hooks at range. Then she lands a lead hook, but then she gets doubled off the fence, again, stepping in too far. But then in the third round, she lands a body and leg kicks, and then she's backs up, but then she gets pressed with some hooks in the pocket and can't really take the pressure, gets tired, you know. Jocelyn Edwards, minus 120. Nora Cornolle, minus 100. I'm going to go with Jocelyn Edwards because it's basically a pick-em. Jocelyn Edwards is a solid fighter. She's dangerous, and she can hit hard. So, and I don't know anything about Nora Cornolle. I watched some tape. Wasn't impressed at all. I'm going to go with Jocelyn Edwards. Fourth fight of the night, 170 pounds, men's welterweight. Angelusa taking on Reese McKee. Should be a fun one. Potential for fireworks here. Angelusa took on AJ Fletcher's last fight. In the first round, he lands some jabs, but then eats a couple counter hooks on the way back. But then gets pressed with some hooks and an uppercut and a front kick in the pocket. Gets pushed back a couple times. But then he lands some right crosses at range, starts to find his target. He lands a 1-2, gets a snatch single at the end of the round. Only 10 seconds, but sent a little bit of a message. In the second round, he lands a jab to the body and then a right cross up top to the head, followed by a nice 1-2. And then he's able to get the double off of AJ's body kick. Can't hold him down though, but it's there. Then he lands a cross, but then he eats some 1-2s. and a hook flurry as a counter, but then he gets rocked, but he's able to stuff the single leg attempt from the front headlock position, and he gets rocked. He gets pieced up against the fence, but AJ Fletcher got too tired and shot for a takedown, and Angeluso was able to defend that and get his wits about him again. So guy's hard to get out of there. And then in the third round, he lands some straight combos in the pocket. He's able to stuff the shot, and then he gets into half guard, lands some light ground and pound. Doesn't really do anything. They both kind of lay there the rest of the round, so, you know, go figure. But, yeah, I mean, he's got decent cardio, not great cardio. And then Reese McKee took on Jim Wallhead in Cage Warriors. He's coming back to the UFC. In the first round, he pumps some jabs, but then he walks into a couple overhands. But then he's able to cut him off on the fence. He lands some front kicks and a couple straight shots. Then in the second round, he eats a 1-2 off of his jab. But then he's able to land a leg kick and then a jab followed by a red cross. Then he feints the uppercut, lands a jab, and he's doing a real good job moving, circling on the outside. Then in the third round, he drops him with the leg kick, but then he eats a cross. Then he's able to get him up against the fence. Then he slips on most of the leg kicks in the straight shots, but then he gets doubled off the fence. He just gets pressured, but then he's able to pop back up in a reasonable amount of time. Then he lands a double jab followed by a straight shot. And then in the fourth round is where he really starts to piece him up, and then it's a TKO doctor stoppage after the fourth round. Obviously, it's only a 3-round fight, but he builds as the fight goes on. And, you know, he's got pretty solid cardio, and he conserves himself for the end of the fight. So I think he'll turn it on a lot more earlier this fight. But Reese McKee, plus 140, Angeluso, minus 165. I'm going to go with Reese McKee. Angeluso certainly has the potential to knock him out, but I think Reese McKee is going to be a lot more evasive. I think McKee is going to be actually landing the shots. Angeluso might land the bigger shots, but I can see Reese McKee making him miss a good bit. And, you know, Angeluso might be able to take him down, but that's not really his game necessarily. And, you know, Reese McKee plus 140. Both these guys are lower level, so I'm going to take the underdog. I'm going to go with Reese McKee. I think it's a good underdog spot. Main event of the prelims, 135 pounds, men's bantamweight. Taylor Lapilus taking on Keolan Loughran. Taylor Lapilus and Keolan both making their debut. So, Lapilus took on DeMarte Pena and Aries FC. In the first round, he gets clipped with some hooks in a pocket exchange, but then he lands a long jab and puts a lot of weight on it. Then he lands a knee to the body and gets a clinch, and then he hurts him with that, and he's able to defend the single leg attempt, and then he KOs him with the knee to the body, and then a couple elbows to the head and the clinch on the fence, and that was that. So, you know, I don't know. I mean, there's other tape on the guy, but I think I get the gist of it. Keolan Loughran, he took on Dylan Hazen in Cage Warriors. In the first round, he lands a front kick, and he throws some lead hooks, but then he eats a counter. Kind of leaves himself exposed, but then he lands some jabs, and then he's able to dip under, hit the hook. He's able to land a looping hook and cracks him a good bit. Then in the second round, he gets pressed with an overhand, but he's able to stuff the double leg attempt. He lands some counter jabs and some crosses and a couple overhands, just really starts mixing everything up and extending his combinations. But then he lands a jab and some lead uppercuts and gets the KO. So he looked really good as well. Keolan Loughran plus 140, Taylor Lapilus minus 170. Again, this is kind of like a pick-em, and I don't really see a reason to bet favorite money on Taylor Lapilus. I don't. And yeah, they both, you know, both don't have a ton of experience, but I would think that, I don't know, Cage Warriors might have a little bit better level competition than Aries, but, you know, Aries isn't bad. Taylor has gone 3 rounds a couple times before, so he can do it, but I don't know. I'm just going to go with KO and Loughran, you know, plus 140. Let's roll the dice. I don't know either of these guys, so let's take the underdog. First fight on the main card, 145 pounds, men's featherweight, Morgan Charriere taking on Manolo ZECCHINI. Charriere took on Diego Silva his last fight in Cage Warriors. In the first round, he drops him with some leg kicks, and he's able to take his back up against the fence, gets one hook in, rear naked choke attempt. Second round, he drops him with the leg kick, and he pressures towards the fence, and he throws across, drops him with a left hook. Then in the third round, he lands a left hook to the body up against the fence. He's able to stuff the double leg attempt, snap down to the front headlock, spins around, gets the back, some ground and pound from there, and then he's able to get the front headlock TKO. So he just keeps him at range in the front headlock and just goes to work and smothers him. So very smart. Manolo ZECCHINI took on Abubakar Tonkara his last fight in Venator FC. So in the first round, he lands a jab to the body and then a right up top to the head, and then he's able to get the body lock up against the fence. Then he kind of leans back when he's defending jabs again, so that's something he's got to watch. And then the second round, he lands a leg kick, followed up with an overhand, and then jump knee KO. So kind of out of nowhere it happened. Really wasn't a ton going on, but yeah. Manolo ZECCHINI plus 270, Morgan Charriere minus 340. I don't know why Morgan is minus 340. I really don't. And you know, I just don't see the reason on laying the chalk on him. And you know, it's hard to pick a winner here, but plus 270, I'll take my odd. I'll take the odds on that one. I mean, Morgan's probably fought the better competition, but he has a couple split decision losses on his record. And, you know, Manolo's got power, so he can mix things up. At that dog price, I'm going to go with Manolo ZECCHINI. Second fight on the main card, 145 pounds, men's featherweight. William Gomis taking on Yanis GHEMMOURI. GHEMMOURI coming in short notice, up from 135. And making his UFC debut. Now, William Gomis took on Francis Marshall his last fight. In the first round, he eats overhand off of his body kick, but he circles on the outside, and then he backs up, looks for some straight shots and some jabs as he's coming in, but then he gets clinched up to the fence. But then the second round, he eats a cross when he's backing up, kind of has his chin exposed, but then he lands a knee to the body whenever he gets pressed, and he's able to get around the back standing, though. So, you know, good scramble skills. Then he lands some body and some front kicks, and then a lead hook counter off the overhand. Then in the third round, he lands some side kicks, but then he gets doubled when he just steps in too far, throwing a hook, gives up his back, gets put in a rear naked choke, almost gets submitted, kind of. So he had nothing for the third round. So, yeah. Then Yanis took on Vladislav Novitsky and Brave FC. In the first round, he lands some leg kicks and some oblique kicks. He looks for some step-in jabs and overhands. Then he clips him with the head kick, but then he eats a couple leg kicks in return. Then he eats some straights off of his leg kick as well. Doesn't really throw too much in front of it. But then in the second round, he backs out of range of the leg kicks. Lands some leg kicks in range, and then he lands some leg kicks. But then he rocks him with the left hook. But then he gets rocked with the left hook. But then he's able to get the takedown. He got wobbled, but he got the takedown like almost immediately, so he's got good survival skills. And then in the third round, he lands overhand left, followed up with the hook, and then the side kick, and then gets a body lock trip, takedown into half guard, then gets the full guard. Doesn't do a whole lot, but does enough to win the round, I guess. So, yeah, Yanis GHEMMOURI plus 170, William Gomis minus 205, and, you know, I don't like minus 200 on William Gomis. It seems like he does just enough to win. He loses the third round, and Yanis GHEMMOURI can wrestle a little bit. So, and he did get hurt a little bit, but William Gomis doesn't really have a ton of power, and he just kind of like touches people and just kind of skirts around the outside and just lands, you know, just enough to win pretty much. So, plus 170. Coming up from 135, I don't like it, but it'll be a cool story. It is possible. I'm going to go with Yanis GHEMMOURI, plus 170. Why not? Let's see what these underdogs can do. Third fight on the main card, 205 pounds, men's light heavyweight. Volkan No Time OEZDEMIR taking on UFC newcomer Bogdan Guskov. Volkan OEZDEMIR, number 10. So if Bogdan can get this win, he is right in at 205 as a key player, especially if he can get a finish. And 205 needs some spice, so I think that's what they're trying to do. So it's kind of a setup fight for him, but we'll see. Maybe Volkan can show everybody what he's about. Volkan took on Nikita Krylov his last fight. In the first round, he pressures with some hooks in the pocket, and he's able to stuff the shot into the front headlock. But then he circles towards him, so he circles right into the double instead of circling on the outside. So he gets taken down with a double off the fence. But then he's able to get back up. He lands some jabs and a hook in the clinch, but then he eats a knee and then a cross, and then he gets dropped with the blitz, and then he gets drugged down into the rear naked choke position, but he's able to reverse by the end. So, and then in the second round, he gets pressed with the head kick. Then he lands a straight combination counter. He's able to defend, but the double for a while, but he gets doubled off the fence eventually. But then he eats an uppercut and a 1-2 and a head kick. But the second round doesn't matter because Bogdan Guskov never goes past the first round. So Guskov took on Vadim Litvin in MPL his last fight. Never heard of any of these promotions. In the first round, he pressures with some right hooks, and then he gets the underhook clinch up against the fence, and then he's able to get the trip takedown off the fence. Then he lands a jab and a cross, and then some uppercuts up against the fence, and then just gets a TKO because the guy couldn't take any more shots. But his other fights, you know, he gets like first round knockouts a lot, and he hits pretty hard. On Bogdan Guskov, plus 155, Volkan Oezdemir, minus 185. There's really no good reason to bet against Volkan Oezdemir against this guy, but 205 is very weird, and this guy hits hard. And Volkan Oezdemir hits hard, but he doesn't put people's lights out. Bogdan kind of puts people's lights out, and he's dog money, so it's just getting past the first round is going to be tough. But you know what? I'm going to be crazy. I'm going to bet on Bogdan Guskov plus 155. You want to go first round knockout. That's the only way this guy's going to win, which is probably why I just cursed myself. But I think he can get it done and put first round KO on top of that to get even greedier. But I'm going to go with Bogdan Guskov. Why not? Why not? Whole fight to go under 1.5, minus 180. So, feature fight of the night at 155 pounds, men's lightweight, Benoit SAINT-DENIS taking on Thiago Moises. This is a pivotal matchup for each guy because Thiago's right outside the rankings. So if Benoit can beat Thiago, he's probably going to get a ranked matchup. And Thiago wins, you know, he'll be like, okay, we're getting back on track here. Trying to work his way back into the rankings. So yeah, and both these guys, they've got a lot of potential. And they've looked good in their last couple fights, so yeah, I'm excited. Benoit SAINT-DENIS took on Ismail Bonfim in his last fight. In the first round, he lands some body kicks, and then he's able to get the double off the overhand. Gets in him out. Can't hold him there, though. He takes him out a little too early, but then he eats a lead hook, but he's able to shoot the single leg and gets takedown through the cross. Then he's able to get a body lock up against the fence, hits a slide by, and then he's able to take his back, gets both hooks in, and gets a rear naked choke submission. Just a matter of time. So he's very calculated. He knows what he's doing. Yeah, and then Thiago Moises took on Mel Kozal Costa his last fight. Costa came in on short notice. In the first round, yeah, he shoots an extended single to the clinch up against the fence, and then he's able to get the takedown, the front foot sweep. Then he eats a body kick standing at range, but then he gets pressed with some hooks, but then he's able to land a counter hook. Then he lands some right crosses off of his kick. Then in the second round, he just drives through the high C. Can't really hold him down, though. Then he gets clipped with the head kick and then a 1-2. But then he lands a right hook in the pocket, just kind of right down the middle and Costa had his hands down. Then he gets a blast double, and he's able to take his back, gets one hook in up against the fence, lands some ground and pound. Then he's able to get the body triangle, get another rear naked choke submission. So, yeah, both guys with their submissions. Thiago Moises plus 140, Benoit SAINT-DENIS minus 165. I'm going to go with Thiago Moises. They both have similar skill sets, but I think Thiago Moises is a little more controlled in the striking. Benoit SAINT-DENIS does hit hard, and I think Thiago Moises, when it comes down to it, is like the more efficient grappler. They're pretty similar, and that's why I'm going to go with the underdog. Also, just before I even saw the line, I thought Thiago Moises would be a favorite. So, and you know, Thiago Moises has been in there with better guys than Benoit. So, plus 140, might as well roll the dice. Thiago Moises by submission, plus 450, not a bad play. Co-main event of the night, 125 pounds, women's flyweight. Number 3, Manon Fiorot taking on newcomer to the weight class, Rose Namajunas, the former champion. Most interesting fight of the night. Who knows what's going to happen? 125 as a weight class is... Who knows what's going to happen with that weight class? You got so many good contenders emerging seemingly out of nowhere. So, yeah. Needless to say, huge fight for either lady. A win here, might get a title shot. We'll see. But you're definitely going to want to win this fight. Manon Fiorot took on Katlyn Chookagian in her last fight. In the first round, she lands some lead hooks and some overhands. And she side steps with some oblique kicks. And then she kind of throws a side step. She'll throw that lead hook to the side a little bit. Pretty unique. But then she's able to get the collar. She gets collar tied, and then she eats a front face kick, though. She goes in for a cross, and then Chookagian pulls the tie clinch, and then lets her go. Hits her with a front face kick, so be mindful of that. But then in the second round, she lands some 1-2s in the pocket, but then she eats an uppercut off of her right hook. But then she's able to land a left cross in the pocket. Then in the third round, she lands some step-in jabs and some 1-2s, and then she kind of parries the punches down, and then throws the straight shots. Then she lands some side lead right hooks again, and then she gets a double off of Katlyn Chookagian's hook. Can't do anything with it, but, you know, she gets a double leg. Can't hold her down very long, but, you know, it was a close fight. I thought it made the difference. So, yeah, just very elusive and picks her shots well. And then Rose Namajunas, her last fight was against Carla Esparza. Literally nothing happened in that fight, and Manon Fiorot is not going to take her down. Before that, she took on Zhang Weili for the second time. In the first round, she pressures with some leg kicks and some straight shots. But then she gets body locked off a step-in straight, gets taken down, but she's able to work her way back up. Again, I don't think Manon's going to try to take her down. She might try, but I don't think she's going to get it. But then she walks into a cross and a head kick, but then she throws a front face kick. It's a little too short, though, but she throws it. That's something she's looking for. I'm sure she watched the tape. She's probably going to try to throw it on Manon. Then in the second round, she lands a 1-2, followed up with a leg kick. Then she eats a step-in overhand in the pocket, though, but then she's able to land some counter short hooks, kind of clips her a little bit. Then she gets clipped with some head kicks standing at range. Then she gets rocked with a hook to the body off a step-in cross in the pocket. She initiates the clinch, though, and then she's able to get outside trip takedown. So she can get takedowns as well. Then in the third round, she throws a front face kick. She lands some leg kicks, and then she slides out of range, and then she lands a step-in overhand right. Then they're in a pocket exchange. They're both throwing long combinations. And then she kind of, I guess, Zhang kind of slips. But then she's able to land a 1-2 whenever she's getting back up. But then she eats some leg kicks, standing at range again. Then she eats a leg kick and eats a left hook in the pocket. But, yeah, this fight had 2 more rounds, and it was really close, but, you know, she brought it every round. So, Rose Namajunas plus 160, Manon Fiorot minus 200. No brainer. I'm going with Rose Namajunas. I don't know how she's going to do 125, but I don't think it matters. This line is just straight up disrespectful. Plus 160 for Rose Namajunas. Barely lost to the title and beat the current champion 2 times. For Manon Fiorot. Manon Fiorot doesn't do a whole lot. She's a solid fighter, but I don't see anything special about her, really. You know, the only thing could be like but Manon Fiorot doesn't even clinch. Like, it's not like she's going to use her weight advantage. I think Rose is going to be a lot faster than her, and I think she has a higher level of striking. And she's plus 160, so it's a no-brainer. I think Rose is just going to probably land the harder shots, but Manon Fiorot doesn't hit too hard. And then Rose, you know, she knocked out Zhang with the head kick, so I think she's going to be looking for those as well. So I'm going to go with Rose Namajunas plus 160. No-brainer on this one. Main event of the evening, 265 pounds, men's heavyweight. Ciryl Gane, number 2 contender in the world, taking on Sergey, the Polar Bear Spivak, number 7 contender. Needless to say, big fight for each guy. If Sergey wins, he's going to be in the title picture, but who knows what's happening with the title. But after November, after Stipe and John fight, whatever happens with that, he's going to be some guy that they talk about. I don't think he'll get the title shot, but he'll be a guy they talk about. And Ciryl Gane, he just needs to get back on track, and he has to prove that he can grapple. He has to prove that people can't just bully him on the ground. So that's what he's here for. We'll see. Ciryl Gane took on John Jones his last fight. In the first round, he eats a straight right off of his jab when he's kind of circling on the outside, but then he gets clipped with a cross off of his leg kick, and then he gets pressured back the whole time toward the fence. So then he lands a jab to the body, but then he misses a step-in cross, overextends himself, and then he gets mat returned, and then he gets up, but then he gets doubled off the fence, and then he gets submitted with a seated guillotine. Doesn't even really fight the hands. Don't know what he was thinking, but he had literally no defense. So I don't know. I don't know if he just froze up or what, but he wasn't fighting the hands on the choke. So that was interesting. And, you know, he just overstepped off the cross fighting John Jones, who's really good at wrestling. So I don't know what his IQ is like, but hopefully he's worked on his wrestling defense. But Sergey Spivak took on Derek Lewis his last fight. In the first round, he ducks under the hook, and then he's able to get the headlock right inside control, and then he's able to take his back, switch over to mount, land some ground and pound, then he gets the back, or he'll keep half guard. He'll go back and forth between half guard and the back, but he's landing ground and pound the whole time. Then he lands a head and arm up top when they're on their feet, drags them back down, gets a few different mat returns, and then he's able to get around the back, land some ground and pound, and then he just drives him over, gets the arm triangle, gets a submission. So took his time, didn't do anything stupid, didn't stand there and slug with Derek Lewis. Good ring IQ. So, yeah. And he can mat return him multiple times. Sergey Spivak plus 170, Ciryl Gane minus 205. Obviously, Ciryl Gane is light years ahead of Sergey on the feet. Sergey is light years ahead of Gane on the ground. So it's basically, can Sergey Spivak get him down? I mean, Francis Ngannou took Ciryl Gane down, so I think it's possible. And Ciryl Gane, he doesn't not have power, but he's not the hardest hitter. And I think Sergey might be able to break through and take a couple shots to get the takedown, get into the clinch, get a headlock, get an inside trip. Now, Sergey, he doesn't have a glass chin, but you know, maybe he's a little chinny. He might be a little susceptible to some shots because Aspinall hurt him pretty bad. But yeah, obviously Sergey's not good on the feet, but he doesn't really need to be. He just needs to be competent enough to get in and get a takedown. I don't know if Cyril's going to be able to get up. And Sergey Spivak, you know, he stays busy on the ground. He lands ground and pound. He hurts people. So plus 170, I'm going to go Sergey Spivak. You know, this another one I think it's not a no-brainer, but minus 200 on Cyril Gane. I just can't do it. I'd rather take my chances on Spivak, make some profit. I think he's going to get it done. Submission, Sergey Spivak, plus 400, not a bad play. All right, everybody, thanks for riding with me. Appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, all that stuff. Hopefully I get a perfect card. I picked a lot of underdogs, but I really think they're going to win. I think it's the right move, so we'll see. Let's see some upsets. Let's see some violence, and let's see some profits. Good luck, everyone.